Welcome to episode 1 of Managing University Life. This episode is called Moving from High School to College.
Welcome to Managing University Life, a 6-part video series where we teach you how to be a university student and how to begin learning adult skills of studying, time management, and interpersonal relationships, which will help you to be happier and more successful now as a college student and in later life. In general, in university you have more freedom than in high school, but you have more responsibility for your own actions. And so in this episode, the first thing we'll be looking at are the differences between high school and university life. The habits and attitudes you developed in high school may have served you well then, but they are not necessarily going to be the ones you need in college to help you adjust and thrive in a new environment. The first category is academics. High school usually has highly structured classes and schedules which are set for you. University offers more flexible schedules and less structured classes, meaning more options, but also more decisions, and responsibility for those decisions.
In university, you're going to have more control over assignments and course types. That's a good thing.
In high school, teachers are often held responsible for student success or failure. In university, students are largely responsible for their own success or failure. Skipping a class you or your parents paid for is hurting yourself. In high school, teachers tell students what and how to study and what will be on the test. There may even be practice examinations. In university, it is up to each student to read and understand the assigned material.
Learning at a university level will require you to develop good study habits, a topic we'll be talking about in further episodes.
In high school, teachers often reteach and review areas that students have trouble with. In university, the class moves on with or without you. And that doesn't mean the professor doesn't care about you, but there is a greater assumption that you will review or work on any content you are having trouble with or have missed.
This is why attendance is so important in university. And by that, we mean active attendance.
Simply being there and being asleep or playing on your phone is not really attending class and won't result in you learning much or anything.
The second category is behavior. In high school, you mostly do as you're told, and often in a hurry, bali. In university, you act as an independent adult and make responsible choices.
We'll also be talking about time management in future episodes, but for now, you'll need to become better at making your own schedule.
In high school, you can probably expect that at least you won't fail. That may not be so in college. A common error is assuming that you should at least pass because you attended class, and many professors are not going to do that. As well, there may be a university policy obligating the professor to fail you for too many missed classes, as there is at Hanyang. The last category is responsibilities. In high school, your parents or guardians make many or most decisions for you. In university, students make most decisions related to school, social life, time management, or money. In high school, teachers ask if you need help if they see you are having problems. In university, that may happen, but students need to monitor their own progress and seek the professor's assistance when necessary.
Keep track of your exam or assignment scores early on in the semester and visit your professor's office regularly if you sense any difficulty or problems.
Professors probably won't feel sorry for you if you wait until the course is over and grades have already been posted to say that you didn't understand the material. And after a certain deadline, they may not be able to change your grades even if they want to.
Again, in high school, teachers continually remind you of homework or test dates. In university, professors expect you to know and to follow the responsibilities or deadlines indicated in the syllabus.
The syllabus, also called the course outline, will give you more information about the class, its schedule, and its expectations.
Many new students find all this a little scary, but you will hopefully soon realize that other people do care about you and will try to help. It is also liberating to make your own decisions. Just as you no longer need to wear a uniform like you did in high school, and now have the right to wear what you like, you now have more freedom to do what you like. To repeat the main point, university offers you more freedom than high school, but university also requires you to take responsibility for your learning. You will be treated like an adult, but expected to act like one. So, test time. Which one of these students is acting like a college student?
Come in.
교수님, 성적이 안 좋았어. 내일 장난감 있는데 그거 올리지 않으면 저녁을 먹고 내일 학교도 못 나가요.
This student is physically in college but mentally still in high school. She appreciates the freedom of university but abused it by skipping class and not doing her work. But she still wants the security of passing by whining. Professors have heard the promise that I'll study harder 1,000,000 times, and it usually doesn't work. So let this be lesson number 1. No whining.
Come in.
Professor Rittenhouse, I wonder if I might ask you about your methodology for grading the recent exam. I'd like to understand a little bit better so I can study and maybe elevate my grade in the future.
Well, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah.
This student takes responsibility for her poor grade and asks the professor politely for help so that she can improve her performance. The professor is much more likely to help this person, and the student is much more likely to avoid making this mistake again. But a reminder, one of the hardest parts of growing up is realizing that parents and teachers are human beings, and that sometimes they don't know the right answer. The subjects you're going to learn are difficult. Sometimes your professors make mistakes. Except for your beloved narrator. I never make mistakes.
That's garbage. Don't listen to him.
So why are you here? We don't mean right now as you watch this video, but why are you here in university? If you're taking a humanities program and not a STEM subject, how does studying linguistics or literature or history benefit you in your life or career? If you study engineering, you will probably become an engineer, and if you study art or nursing, you'll likely enter those occupations. But what does a liberal arts program or course do for you? It might be a springboard into a particular career such as teaching, but a humanities degree is not always about content, it is often about process. What are you learning to do while you are learning a subject? Learning about current affairs, or morphology, or translation, or postmodernism might be useful in itself for a future job, or just because you find the ideas enjoyable. But the skills you are acquiring in analyzing and problem solving while learning these subjects can be as valuable as the knowledge of the subjects itself. Moreover, whereas in the past you probably repeated the pattern of learning material and then regurgitating it onto the test paper, workplaces don't usually work like that. The reason you do all this work of analysis and problem solving in real life is to explain your ideas to other people in a presentation or a paper or some project. And this is something else you'll be practicing in college. The professor might honestly be interested in your opinion about Brexit or Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, but he or she is probably more interested in how you arrived at that opinion and how persuasively you can explain it, and perhaps how well you worked with other people if it was a team effort. And we can nearly guarantee you this: although communicating your ideas may be hard and may be scary at first, it will be more fun than filling in bubbles on a paper.
Professor, don't you think it's possible that Ireland will pull out of the EU currency?
오빠, 원래 독도는 한국의 땅이었어.
예,
근데
예.
이제 일본 사람들 자기 땅이라고 하는 거야.
예, 그래,
오빠, 어떻게 할 수 있습니까?
예.
살아야겠습니까?
그래. 예, 예.
Let's look at a few cultural differences which you may experience as you interact with people from various places. Here's a simple question to get us started. Do Eastern and Western people think differently? Are their brains wired with different circuits? Let's look at a couple of expressions because they can help illustrate these cultural differences. First, imagine that you have recently taken a test that was very easy. You felt that you knew all the right answers. So if you're a Korean person and a Korean speaker, you might say, it was like eating rice cake while lying down. If you're a Westerner from an English-speaking country, you might say it was a piece of cake. Both of these expressions mean that it was a very simple task, but they're both very different. We should keep in mind that we're of course dealing with generalizations and that billions of people do not think the same way. But these two idioms illustrate one of the differences about the two civilizations which affects some of the way people speak and think, based on how they adapted to the environment they were in. Let's go a little bit further. You might say that there's a geography of thought. This means that there are different countries in different parts of the world. Some in northern areas where it's typically cool, some in the equatorial areas where it's hotter, and some down south where it can also be cold. Both climates and the separations between continents, east and west, affect human values and philosophies. One system is not necessarily better than the other. They are just different in some ways. A lot of Western thought can be understood by looking at the syllogism form. A syllogism is a fancy word that means a type of structured, logical argument. On the Eastern side, we have the Tao, or the Dao, as the Hanja says. Tao, according to Wikipedia, refers to the idea that there is an essential natural order of existence in the way the world works. And the proper behavior means trying to find a way to reconcile or accept or work within these natural rules and environments that you find yourself in. We can see that more than 2 billion people are heirs to this broad frame of thought. So going back to ancient Greece for a moment, They had the tradition of debate, which involves firing arguments back and forth between people or groups, and logical attacks and counterattacks using evidence and reasoning. The idea was to see which claim could best stand up to the assault of the opposing argument. Decisions of all kinds were made by debate, with the emphasis on logical reasoning, data, and other evidence which can support your position. This is still the cornerstone of Western academic research. Ancient Greece also had the philosophical tradition of identifying characteristics of individual objects, ideas, or people or places, and classifying or analyzing them. It was assumed that characteristics are permanent and stable and don't change, no matter what context or environment they are placed in. So it was possible, they thought, to isolate different features or variables of an object in order to study and test them to see what happens. On the other hand, we have ancient Chinese thought, with its emphasis on harmony and a smooth working order of a system or a group of people, or even an environment or nation. This was more important than individual agency. That is, the thing or force which causes the result to happen. It's more important to ensure harmony in the whole, and for this reason there is a strong emphasis on maintaining the relationships within the system. Additionally, because relationships are so important, they concluded that characteristics such as personality, which you show to others, is affected by where you are. When you're at home with your parents, you might be more respectful and calm. You want to keep a harmonious relationship so that your parents will continue to support you. But when you go out with your friends, you have a different style, a more outgoing or fun personality. So to know more about you as a person, you study your relationship in your different environments, your classroom, your home, and anywhere you socialize with your friends. All of these different environments show a different part of you and your personality. Following this, even objects and ideas might change or have different purposes or concepts depending on their context or environments.
Here's a little test to show you some different ways of seeing the world. First, just take the test. Answer the question, what goes with this cow? Item A, the chicken, or item B, the grass. Most North Americans in previous tests put the chicken and the cow in the same category. Why did they do this? Chickens and cows are farm animals, and because they are both animals, they fit in the animal category. Most East Asian students place the grass and the cow together because they have a relationship. Cows eat grass. Europeans, not surprisingly, were in the middle, with some choosing the chicken and some the grass. So you can see that the researcher who made this test wanted to determine what's important to different cultures. The American students emphasize categories, and the Asian students emphasize relationships. So, why are we telling you all these crazy things about cows and chickens? Not because we are teaching you how to be farmers, but to help you understand that your university education will involve both Eastern and Western models of academics. In your classrooms, your professors may prefer or even shift between these models, and knowing something about these two broad mindsets may help you. In a Western-style class, for example, or one with foreign professors, professors will expect a great deal of involvement on your part. Instead of telling you the answer, they may ask you questions to guide your thinking, so that you can discover the answer. This is called the Socratic method. Often, correct answers are not so important as answers that lead you to better reasoning skills. Western academics often rely on what's called the scientific method. This method can be applicable to many things. How you approach a classroom project, or group project, or even how you might structure an essay assignment. Broadly, it works by taking a question and then forming a theory or possible hypothesis to answer that question. Then you try it out and test it. And if it doesn't work, you try other modifications until it hopefully works. As we discussed earlier, when we talk about process education, it's not essential that you find the correct solution, but that you learn to reason with the problem.
Think back to when you were a child. Children generally learn new skills and subjects more quickly than adults and older adults do. Part of this is their brain chemistry, but it might also be partly because children's learning is often play-based, and they're more physically and mentally engaged in it, whereas adult learning is often none of these things. It's not a coincidence that during the COVID-19 pandemic, students' scores dropped worldwide because while video lectures may be able to present content adequately, students tend to view the lectures passively, or worse, divide their attention between the video screen and their phones. A sure recipe for learning and retaining very little. So this part of the episode is about learning actively. This doesn't necessarily mean physical activity. You can't really jog in the classroom while the professor teaches, although some people do exercise while listening to information or podcasts on headphones. What it means is taking an assertive and proactive attitude towards learning. Professors and departments can make you do many things as a student, rightly or wrongly, but they can't make you care. And a student who cares is nearly always going to do better, especially in university. This episode has already spoken about high school versus college mentalities. And one particular unfortunate mindset in Korea is show-upism, the assumption that being there is mostly what matters. This also affects some workplaces. But while you might still get paid if you merely sit in your office chair, you are unlikely to learn much if you are only sitting in a classroom grudgingly and half awake while you sneak playing on your phone or keep going for bathroom breaks. All right then, how can you be a more active listener and learner? Part of it is preparation for the class. Having done the homework or assigned work is obvious, as you otherwise won't have an easy time relating to the lecture material or asking any informed questions about it. An even more obvious way to be prepared is to bring paper, pens, books, or your tablet or laptop to class. As foreign professors, we are always amazed how many students come to class with nothing. And to be honest, it makes you look like you are 5 years old. More broadly, your attitude is the most important part of active learning. If you see the class as a burden and expect it to be boring, you will probably be proven right. Unless it is Professor Eckert's class, of course, which is always fun and exciting, as we all know. If you tempt yourself by constantly having your phone next to you, you will likely end up playing with it or responding to social media dings. However, if you enter the classroom expecting to gain something of value and keep your phone in your pocket or purse or in airplane mode, and if you're paying attention to key points and trying to make associations between the new material and what you've learned before, you likely will find the class more enjoyable and helpful. Does this mean that you need to be in panic mode every day? Of course not. People do have off days when they're tired or aren't feeling well. But active learning and listening is a habit or a muscle which gets stronger and more agile the more you do it. Our minds do funny things to us. If you decide to care, you may find yourself actually caring about the class and its contents.
If you're just beginning university, in your first semester you may be feeling a combination of excitement and terror. And that's normal. You're entering new routines and new ways of doing things and making new friends. I felt the same way when I started university. For the first month I remember feeling stressed every day and coming home and watching cartoons to feel better. It will take some time for university life to feel natural for you, and I can only tell you to be persistent. For most people it does get better. And for some of you there's the opposite danger, that you might like university too much. I did, and stayed too long, and ended up becoming a professor.